I'm joined by Scott Price, head of international operations at UPS. Scott, it's great to have you with me this morning. So
Morning.
we're happy to have you. You're working with groups like COVAX and Gavi the Vaccine Alliance to accomplish this. Where are these first vaccines going?
So thanks, Kristen. Great to be here. So, if you think about the overall context, 7.8 billion people in the world. As of early this week, only 265 million vaccines have been delivered. That's roughly 3.4%. If you look at modern economies like the United States, we're roughly 23.7 doses per 100 people. There is a disproportion. Therefore, an equitable distribution is, I think, critical moving forward. So working with COVAX and as well Gavi, we've targeted 4 continents for developing markets where we believe there's an opportunity. So Africa, Asia, South America, and then a few countries in Europe.
The commitment including $3 million from UPS Healthcare and the UPS Foundation. What kind of impact is that donation going to have on the distribution of these vaccines, Scott?
Distribution is really critical when it comes to vaccines. We've been doing healthcare distribution. We have a pretty substantial segment, but the ultra low temperature required on these vaccines is what makes this one particularly unique. Now, we have cold storage capability. So as part of our donation, that $3 million, part of it is just capacity of that ultra low temperature. So as you think about how you're moving it forward, we have to be able to guarantee the delivery to areas that don't necessarily have a lot of infrastructure. So we, in fact, here at our Louisville, Kentucky Worldport facility, we're able to manufacture 12 tons of dry ice a day. So that as these vaccines are packaged, we're able to ensure they have dry ice to be able to sustain them all the way to the last mile delivery. So just one of our initiatives that we're working on is this 20 million vaccines. But a couple of other examples, if I could, just Ghana, for example, last week delivered its very first. We participated with Zipline, which is a medical drone company. We were able to drop into remote villages via drone these COVID vaccine with the integrity of the temperature still maintained as a result of our capability in cold chain and as well dry ice.
Scott, how are you updating your operations to now distribute this Johnson & Johnson vaccine, a single-dose vaccine that doesn't need to be stored at those ultra cold temperatures like Pfizer's?
The UPS global network means that, frankly, we're always prepared to be sort of that middle step. We're kind of the glue that holds this process together. Manufacturers have capability around the world to manufacture. We then move to wherever dosing sites have been identified. So whether it be the ultra cold first out of Pfizer, whether it be the latest in Johnson & Johnson, we move roughly 23 to 25 million packages every single day. We have plenty of capacity to be able to move all of these vaccines anywhere in the world.
In terms of how this changes the game for you, do you have to have different conditions for each one of these vaccines between Pfizer's, Moderna's, and Johnson & Johnson's? And has that created any challenges basically in the distribution network?
It's a great question. We actually have, as I mentioned, for a number of years, a pretty substantial healthcare business. We call it a network within a network. We have delivery and capability to 220 markets around the world. What we do is, in essence, through technology, we have a product called UPS Premier. It's in essence, it is a physical tag with the capability, either Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, or cellular, so that at any given time, we are able to track every single one of these critical healthcare packages within our network and intervene if something's going to go wrong. So for example, 10 days ago, there were some really bad weather conditions here in the United States. You would have, of course, lived through that, which meant that we were having to work proactively to divert either to different dosing sites or to hold back until airports were going to be open to be able to receive it. Again, our dry ice capability means that not a single vaccine went off relative to our responsibility as we held it until it got to the final destination of the dosing site.
I think so many people, Scott, are so grateful for your work in this area to get these vaccines out there and to get them out there as equitably as possible. Sustainability obviously is a commitment for your company, among many others across many different industries. When it comes to the distribution of the vaccine, are you taking steps to make sure that it is sustainable in some ways, or is just the sheer speed of this rollout more important?
We have had a number of sustainability targets that we've been working on the last few years. And, we like to say, look, we started in 1930 when we rolled out our first electric vehicle in the United States. We have carbon commitments, we have packaging commitments. And so as we think about how we deliver out the vaccines, we, of course, are thinking about reusable packaging. And in fact, our ultra low freezer capability is reusable. It's an important topic to us. We continue to work on it. And frankly, it's beyond just UPS. It's the industry and it's the world that needs to continue to work hard on this topic.
What are the long-term plans for vaccine distribution? Obviously, it doesn't appear as if the coronavirus is going away anytime soon. Everyone around the world still needs to be vaccinated to get back to some sense of normalcy. And many doctors have said it could be a virus that sticks around and does flare up, especially in these cold winter months. What are the long-term plans, Scott, that you're putting in place to address that?
So you're absolutely right. And here's a statistic for consideration. The world is now vaccinating roughly 6 million people a day. That'll be 5.4 years before we get to 75% of the world's population. So I think there's a couple things. The first is we have to continue to drive solutions and manufacturing so that we're able to get these into the arms of citizens around the world. The second is, I think, what we hear and what we see, there's still so much that's not known. We may be facing a life where we have our annual flu and potentially an annual COVID booster. No one knows. But what I can tell you is that given the size and the scope of the world's population and in our network, we're always going to be prepared for the capacity needs to get this vaccine around the world.
I know you are a global company, Scott, based here in the U.S. The AstraZeneca vaccine is one that we haven't focused on as much, at least not here in the U.S., because it's not yet approved here in the U.S. But are you working with AstraZeneca and Oxford University to distribute that vaccine as well?
So we are agnostic. We will distribute whatever vaccine wherever in the world. So, for example, just last week, Korea has an AstraZeneca, South Korea AstraZeneca manufacturing facility there. We actually brought in their first ever imported Pfizer vaccines last week and immediately got them to 5 dosing sites. I think every country in the world has this accountability for their population. And therefore are buying the vaccines that they are able to access in terms of capacity. Will move wherever, from whatever origin and manufacturer to whatever dosing site destinations available.
All right, Scott Price, that's the good news that we want to hear there. We want to get these vaccines out as quickly as possible. Scott is the head of international operations at UPS. Thank you again for joining.